Hello, fans, and welcome to another episode of High and Tight. I'm John Nolan, the PBR Virginia DC content manager and Northern Virginia scouting director. And I am actually not solo potting today, as I am joined by Jason Burton, the PBR Virginia DC scouting director. Bert, if I'm not mistaken, you're already in Georgia because it's time for the 2023 Future Games in the JFG, right?
Yes, I know the background looks familiar, but yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right. By the time this goes out, he will have been in Georgia for a while. We're taping this right before Bert goes. So, you looking forward to Georgia weather?
sure. I mean, I say this, it can't be a whole lot hotter or more humid than here, but yeah, I mean, after you get used to it, after you're out in it for 16, 18 hours a day for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, oh, for sure. At least you're getting to go to that Braves game. And isn't that one restaurant that we ate at all the time half decent?
Can't remember.
The pizza place.
Oh, right across. Yeah, if we get out of there in time, if weather cooperates
Uh,
and we're able to get out of there in time, I think it's St.
what you
Angelo.
need to do is sabotage the lightning meter.
Hmm?
You need to sabotage the lightning meter. That's the bane of our existence down there.
It's the bane of everyone's existence down there.
Yes. All right. So today's pod, obviously, we're going to talk about the future games, the junior future games. We are going to quickly talk about both sets of teams. Just a reminder, following the junior future games and the future games, our next event will be on Tuesday, August 9th, the unsigned senior games, which will be held at the University of Richmond. That weekend on Sunday, August 13th, we'll have the Mid Atlantic Pro Case as well. Invites are out for those. Please make sure you guys are signing up. So, what we're going to do here is just real quickly highlight some players on our future games teams. We've been releasing the team slowly over the last week and change with profile spotlights running every day. Just about have the whole team out at this point in time. So what we're going to do is real quickly, we're each going to talk about three future game guys that we are picking to click down in Georgia. So I'm going to go ahead and go first here. And I'm going to talk about Colgan shortstop Julius Benarise. Sorry, Julius, if I continue to not get your name right. Julius, we talked about him on the pod a couple episodes ago. State game standout. He was a standout during the high school season for Colgan. Took over shortstop defensively for them. Ended up hitting his way up to the two hole. He's got some sneaky pull side power. He's athletic. He ran a 6.87 at state games. He might run a little tick faster here. There's a lot of projection left in him. He hits from the left side, which we really like. And he showed some power. He's got some pull home run power, but he's more of a gap to gap line drive and uses speed type right now. I think he's got a chance to show really, really, really well at the state game, or not at the state games, at the future games. And that's Julius Bonarise, a shortstop from Colgan. Bert, who you got for your first guy?
My first guy is going to be Bryce Neely, 2025 outfielder from St. Chris. Obviously, if you follow along, he absolutely blew up at state games at Fred Nats. Had a phenomenal 2 days there. Um, Not that they called, but I know that there was from talking to some different people. There's a lot of interest from a lot of different programs, kind of after those 2 days. So I know some eyes will be on him. Super tooled out kid. He's a what sub 6'6" runner, I think Nolan, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I want to say it was 6.56 at state games.
Yeah. So sub 6'6", even on a bad day, a sub 6'8" runner has a chance to stay in center, can really move, has some juice in the bat. Um, the body looks the part, the swing looks the part. Saw him a couple times in high school. Didn't get a lot of pitches when I saw him in the probably 6 or 8 at bats. Didn't get a whole lot in the zone. Was pretty patient, but like I said, he blew up at state games. He hit some baseballs very hard, very far. Plenty of arm strength in the outfield. He can play all three. Again, this is a guy that's super high ceiling, and has a chance to really take off in Georgia.
All right. My second guy here, I'm going to stick in Nova. Weston Lillard, right handed pitcher from Highland School. We've talked about Weston a ton. We've seen him a lot, relief appearances, shorter outings. His stuff plays up. It'll be 86 to 88. He's hit 90 a couple different times this summer. Fastball's got some high spin, 2,400 ish rate on it. He's a low slot guy, gets on you with some late life. Slider that's 2,500 ish spin as well, up to 2,600 at times. Um, he's got two loud pitches. It'll play up in the setting that we're going to have down there at future games where he's maybe throwing 2 innings, 3 innings max, and just coming out and bringing the noise. I think his stuff will really play and will really turn some heads at this event. Again, that's Weston Lillard, right-handed pitcher from Highland School. Bert, your number two?
Gonna go to Northern Virginia or DC, I guess. Nate Houghton Henley, 2025 outfielder from St. John's. Um, Neely, kind of that same regard, super tooled out, well above average runner. And the biggest thing that sticks out about Nate is just the bat to ball. Doesn't really swing and miss. I know that we talk about St. John's obviously because they're a really good program, but we talk about them like if you're going to play in their lineup, you have to make contact, and he makes it at a high rate, and he still has some juice in the swing. It's not necessarily a contact bat. He sprays it around. There's pull side power. He's got a little bit, of extra base power to the oppo side. Um, like I said, well above average runner, big arm from the outfield. I want to say he's 90 plus from the outfield. I'm pretty sure like 93, somewhere in there, 92, 93. I'm sure you're scrolling.
I don't have it in front of me, but that sounds right.
Yeah. But super tooled out, can play all three, and then he just occasionally hops on the mound and runs it up to 90, 91 on the bump. But, the swing, if you watch him, the swing doesn't always look the cleanest. It's a little bit edgy, but it just produces. Like, I don't care what it looks like, barrel to baseball consistently, and that's what he does. He's a guy who could, like Neely, he's a guy who could really take off down there.
And especially with the way the event is on that first day, where it's the big showcase day and 450 kids going through workouts, those loud numbers really, really, really pop, and he'll put them up, I would think. My third, Cash McDade, catcher from Gonzaga College. So sticking in DC here. Cash, 6 foot, 190 pounds. It's a physical, strong frame. He shows power at the plate, 95 and 96 exit velos at events. He works gap to gap, but he can turn on a ball and really, really drive it. I think the biggest thing for me is he's a big physical kid. He's a 7'3" runner, which is fine for a catcher. But more so is the arm strength that he shows behind the plate. He was 81 on his throwdown at the Mid Atlantic trials. He was 84 in the preseason ID. He shows a truly strong catching arm already. He's a sub 2 pop guy. So all of those things are in play there. So he's another guy who I think will show really, really well, getting a chance to see that pitching and be able to drive a couple of balls here and there during those games. I think will do really, really well for him. Again, that's Cash McDade, a catcher from Gonzaga College. Bert, your third guy?
Last guy is TJ Woodson, shortstop from Hanover, 2025. 2025 is the theme this year with the team Mid Atlantic. And TJ honestly is just a guy who just shows up in game and just gets the job done. I guess you could say kind of a typical coach's son, high IQ, plays the game, uses the whole field. I remember seeing TJ shoot Nolan when he was in what, seventh grade, at like uh, wasn't whatever the workout was. It was kind of like a
It was something, yeah, it was something down
It was
there.
like a junior future trials in Richmond, and TJ was just a small little guy, but he got up there. The ball wasn't really going anywhere, but he was putting barrel on it every single time. And ever since we've seen him, he's always been an advanced defender, from the jump. And this is a guy who's been on two straight state championship teams. He played as a freshman and started in the state championship game, last year, on an absolutely loaded team. What with two draft picks, uh, one is in the Braves and one's at Vandy and one's at Tennessee, so a decent team. Um, but this kid just absolutely shows up when the lights come on. It's not some big power bat; and just sprays line drives around. I think he had 2 home runs during the high school season. But you talk about a guy who can absolutely defend at shortstop. Banner Reese is right there with him, but TJ can really pick it at short. He's not some big tooled out guy. He's not going to run a 6'6". He's not some physical specimen at 6'2", 6'3", But if you want a kid who shows up in game, this is your guy.
Absolutely a grinder. All right, so that's the future games team. We'll have plenty of coverage on that here as the week goes on in Georgia. But also going on in Georgia at the same time is the junior future games. Format for that is slightly different. We have, I believe it's two 14U teams and a 13U team. They'll play a 4 game guarantee, 3 games of pool play, and then they go into a bracket. Last year, our 13U team actually won the championship, if I'm remembering things correctly. So this year, again, we'll have those teams just really quickly want to highlight 2 players each from the JFG mix just to talk about real fast. I'm going to go back to a guy I actually talked about on the last episode of the podcast, talking about the TPG, and that is Battlefield 2027 catcher Luke Rafflo. Just like I said last week, it's an athletic, lankier frame. There's projection left. I think that he throws pretty well. It was 196 to 205. I think he showed decent present arm strength for a rising freshman at that event, chance to continue growing into it. There's an uphill swing path. He's got some natural loft and carry, shows some gap power already. I think he's got a chance to show really, really well on the 14U side here for us. Again, Luke Rafflo, a 2027 catcher from Battlefield. Bert, what's your first younger guy?
First guy I'm going to go to is a returner from that 13U championship team. I think I saw him tweet out something like "We're ready to run it back" or something like that, and that was George Minjak. George will go to St. Albans. He's a 2027, 6'2", 180 pounds, athletic, going to put on some good weight over time. Last year, he had a really solid tournament. Just it seemed like every single at bat, which that was literally the entire team, that was just barrel and double in the gap, or just a hard hit ball somewhere every single at bat. Third baseman, outfielder, he can pitch a little bit. Um, Again, just excited to see him back and get him another opportunity to show out down at Junior Future Games.
All right, I'm going to go with my second guy. I'm going to go with Independence 2027 JoJo McDonald. JoJo, the youngest of the 3 McDonald brothers to go through Independence, playing for their dad. We had him at a scout day in early June. He was 78 to 80, touch 81, 5'10 athletic frame. You got to like the bloodlines. His 2 older brothers, one was a freshman this year at JMU, the other is on his way to East Carolina after this year. Joe, the middle brother, was consistently hitting 90. So you got to think he's going to continue to grow into velocity as he goes. So I think it's been 2 months since we've seen him. There's a big difference between game setting versus bullpen at the end of a scout day setting. So I'd be shocked if that velocity is not a little bit higher for him down there. I think it'll be a good chance for us to get to see him in some competitive environments and start getting a preview of what we're going to see out of Independence next year and the years going forward. Again, that's JoJo McDonald, right-handed pitcher, shortstop, going to be a 2027 at Indy next fall. Bert, your second guy?
My second guy, sorry, I was muted. My second guy, we're going to go out deep west. I'm going to go to Seth Carter, Pulaski County, 2027, 6'3", 180. Seth has been to Lake Point a few times. I think he plays with USA Scout, USA Prime Scout, or USA Scout Prime. Um, and as well as NRV Tigers. We got a chance to see Seth with NRV Tigers a few weeks ago out in the Roanoke area. Big, long, lanky kid, ton of room to fill, and there's some definite juice in the bat. It's going to be a right around 80, low 80s arm. Probably more bat than arm right now, but he's got a ton of time, obviously. This kid just he's I remember seeing Twitter videos, I guess last fall, and had to reach out to my man Todd Davis with NRV, and I'm like, Todd, we got to get this guy to Lake Point. We got to get him to get Junior Future Games, and you won't meet a better guy than Todd. He was like, absolutely, buddy, we're gonna get him. And so Seth is coming to join us. So excited to see some of that power that he produces in game down there. And that is, again, Seth Carter, 2027, 6'3", right-handed pitcher and outfielder from Pulaski County.
Okay. And I think that's just about all the guys we're going to talk about. Again, we'll have plenty of coverage on the JFG and the future games from the event. We will break it down again on the other side after the event. Please remember our August schedule is going to come up on you guys really, really fast. The unsigned senior games again to Wednesday, August 9th, at the University of Richmond. Make sure you're grabbing your spot for what is routinely our best event at matching players with fits for them. Also, that weekend, we have the Mid Atlantic Pro Case. And then, as I have been saying constantly, keep in the back of your head that first weekend in November for the Fall Mid Atlantic State Games. We haven't announced them yet, but we're planning to do so soon. Bert, I wish you a safe trip to Georgia. Try not to die of sun poisoning or heat exhaustion down there,
Well,
or any of the things that can happen along the way.
the first 5 or 6 days, I won't die of sun poisoning or heat exhaustion because those days we can relief to the shade and into the tower if we need to. But the next ones are just best of luck.
Yep. And I will be tracking you guys virtually from afar. So have a safe trip. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you out there.